This is a new article from Ryan Graves, F-18 pilot who testified July 2023 about UAPs off the East Coast. I was actually there for that hearing. Here is his article in The Hill opinion. Spy balloons, drones, and advanced UAP pose a clear and present danger. The Chinese balloon that started it all. I cover that on the channel. F-22 shooting down the Chinese spy balloon made headlines. Last year, the nation's attention was riveted by a Chinese spy balloon that maneuvered across the United States before it was shot down by an F-22 off the coast of South Carolina. Martin Willis was actually there. He videoed it. It looked almost just like this, his video. And again, I cover it on the channel. The mistaken identification of an enemy drone as an American drone in Jordan led to the death of 3 U.S. service members last month in February. Retaliatory strikes against Iranian proxies risk escalation and war with Iran. And he mentions a third point about drones. Meanwhile, in Ukraine, American military planners are witnessing the transformation of modern warfare with the use of low-cost first-person view drones. So drones are actually flying like a video game, which makes battle tanks look obsolete. So they can just fly these drones right into a battle tank with cheap explosives and now make a battle tank obsolete. That is a huge game changer. The rise of autonomous artificial intelligence only raises the stakes. Now imagine that these drones are not being flown first-person view. You don't need any sort of connection. Now they could be autonomous, and you just end up with a lot of hellscape-type scenarios. Hopefully we don't end up there in the future. Unidentified objects in defended airspace represent a domain awareness gap. This gap poses a clear and present danger to pilots and our soldiers that is more acute than ever. So this is how our DoD, the US DoD, is actually calling this is a domain awareness gap, meaning there are certain points that we're not able to see. Slow-moving objects such as balloons are actually hard to track. They're hard to shoot down, actually. I was an F-16 pilot for 18 years, and I can tell you it's not easy to shoot down slow and high objects. Whereas a Chinese spy balloon was visible to civilians from the ground, the 3 other objects shot down last year by American fighters over Alaska, Canada, and Michigan, and the following weekend were only detected after the North American Aerospace Defense Command, so NORAD, removed Cold War-era filters from its radar. Like I just mentioned, it is difficult to track and shoot down even these slow-moving objects, okay? We actually use Doppler in a lot of our radars, which shows movement. Previously, filters included anything too small, too high, too slow, or too fast to be a Soviet bomber or ballistic missile. So small, high, slow, or fast. Well, so really on the outskirts of our domain awareness, right? That's what his argument is. Domain awareness gap is putting us in clear and present danger. For decades, despite radical advances by adversaries in balloons, drones, and hypersonic capabilities, we have been stuck in a Cold War psychology blind to much of what was overhead. I mean, blind, yeah, we'll see. This is not the first time that upgrades to our sensor capabilities revealed unidentified phenomena in our skies. In 2014, when I served in the U.S. Navy, my F-18 squadron and I were operating in a military training range off the coast of Virginia and began witnessing unidentified aerial phenomena. They witnessed them on new radar, actually, on ASA radar, actively electronically scanned array radar, and infrared. Those are the videos that you've seen online, all the videos of the gimbal, etc. After a generational upgrade to our systems, that was that ASA upgrade, my squadron then started seeing them with their own eyes, including a dramatic near miss. That was the box inside of a sphere, yeah, that you could barely see with your eyes. That was the actual visual identification of it. The UAP displayed anomalous performance, holding stationary in hurricane force winds. This is one of the most interesting UAP actions, to my mind, is holding stationary in hurricane force winds. How can you do that? Doesn't make any sense to me. They appear to travel at supersonic speeds and outlasted our fighters by hours. Another thing is high speeds, right? With no noted supersonic blast. You should be hearing a very large sonic boom. Anything going supersonic, that's why bullets are so loud. Most of them go supersonic, and outlasted our fighters by hours. So not only out there going faster than we can, but out there longer than our fighters are used to, okay? So our fighters can go supersonic. They're definitely going to make supersonic booms, but not for hours, okay? We could only do that for about a little over an hour in an F-16, despite no visible engines or infrared exhaust. So like you said, they're tracking it with infrared systems. If you're not seeing any infrared exhaust, how are they doing it? I, Ryan Graves, testified about these experiences to Congress last July, along with Commander David Fravor, a fellow former U.S. Navy pilot who had a well-documented close encounter with an advanced UAP in 2004. So I was there for that hearing. Thank you so much to David Fravor, David Grush, and Ryan Graves. The shootdowns last February marked the first time in the 50-year history of NORAD that fighters destroyed objects in our airspace. That's just amazing to me. The first time, amazing. President Biden did not mince words. If any object presents a threat to the safety and security of the American people, I will take it down. Okay. Makes sense. We don't even know what they are, so how do we know they are clear and present danger? Yet in this era of aerial threats, I continue to hear from military pilots about sightings of UAP in restricted airspace. Ryan continues. I also hear from commercial pilots with accounts of hard-to-explain sightings and the challenges they encounter in reporting them to the government. UAP reporting from the Air Force is anemic. That is an understatement. Okay, I would say it's borderline criminal that they're not reporting it. Reporting from, or actually criminal, reporting from the Army and Space Force is non-existent. Okay, even worse, from the Space Force, nothing from the Army, he says. How is the Space Force not giving any information? They come from the Air Force, so that makes sense. Data sharing between the intelligence community and the Defense Department remains a major challenge. For commercial pilots, there is no direct confidential reporting channel at all. And that is what Ryan Graves, through his Americans for Safe Aerospace, is trying to advocate for, is an actual reporting channel at all. And still, there's no direct confidential reporting channel at all. This is after Aero has instituted all their supposed updates and improvements. Still nothing. This ongoing gap in UAP data collection invites the question of whether we are doing everything we can to protect our national security. The answer is obviously not. Obviously not, okay? They're not taking it seriously and, like I said, criminally looking the other way. Could it be possible that a decades-old stigma around UFOs is getting in the way? It's not just the stigma, okay? This is basically on purpose, seems like. The Inspector General, so the IG of the Department of Defense, recently released an unclassified report which found the department has no overarching UAP policy. No overarching UAP policy. And as a result, it lacks assurance that national security and flight safety threats to the U.S. from UAP have been identified and mitigated. And yeah, a lot of people say, should we be going the national security route? And I would argue is that's probably the only way that the military at least can approach this. One bright spot is that Congress is finally getting involved. The recent introduction of the bipartisan Safe Airspace for Americans Act by Representatives Robert Garcia and Glenn Grothman from Wisconsin would allow commercial pilots who have clear view of hard-to-track objects above 40,000 feet to safely report UAP without fear of retaliation. And as fighters, we rarely flew up that high. F-22s now, on the other hand, they do fly up that high pretty regularly. So, yeah. To safely report UAP without fear of retaliation. So there's still fear of retaliation. I've interviewed several commercial airline pilots on this channel, and they said that there was definitely a stigma, and their companies actually would not allow them to give out the name of the company. It would also require the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration, to share data with the Pentagon. As far as I understand, that was shot down, okay? But at least we have another recent introduction of the Safe Airspace for Americans Act. There is much to be done. Ryan finishes here. It is unacceptable that we cannot identify UAP that may be adversarial platforms and a threat to the safety of our military and civilian pilots. I totally agree. It is unacceptable. Let's identify what's in our skies. Yeah, that is a great point. Let's identify what's in our skies. Again, this is from Ryan Graves, former Navy fighter pilot, is founder of Americans for Safe Aerospace. He testified to Congress last year about the national security challenge posed by UAPs. So he thinks it is a clear and present danger. As you see here, spy balloons, drones, and advanced UAP pose a clear and present danger. And really not knowing is what on the outskirts of our airspace. What are these things that we're seeing? Yes, we may know what 98% of the things are out there, but 2%, that 2% should worry and concern all of our intelligence analysts and let them know that it's not good enough. It's not what we have right now is not good enough. And there is still no actual reporting channel. I just can't believe that. No reporting channel for commercial airline pilots. How can that be possible that there's still no reporting channel for commercial airline pilots? And like he said there, the Army and Space Force have given nothing. There's non-existent any sort of reporting from the Army or the Space Force, and the Air Force, like I've mentioned throughout this video, have been criminally negligent. Really amazing stuff. Please like and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel more, go to patreon.com/chrislehto. Thanks for all the supporters, and thanks for all your help and support through this difficult time I've been going through. But I'm feeling much better now, and I hope to get back into the swing of things shortly. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Peace.